This is the fourth density survival series, chakra clearing and activation process. The year is 2021, and at the beginning of this year, we are starting with a whole new version of you, a new structural alignment and an activation of the layers of the energy body known as the chakra system. And so I've already said it a few times as we were getting started, but welcome and hello once again. For those of you guys that have been here before, thanks for coming on back. For those of you guys that are here for the first time, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen and how this process is going to work for you guys, and really to see what occurs when we begin to become attuned to a whole new modality of healing. And we're going to be talking about that in a moment, but let us begin. Congratulations, you guys. Some of you guys have heard me say this before, and you know the gravity and the absolute sincerity with which I speak, and I mean this. Congratulations. We have made it. Each and every moment of your life, my life, our lives, all these strange people here in the room, every single moment has led us to this very second we are sharing together now in 2021. Every triumph, every trauma, every decision, every breath, no matter who you are, what you are, where you are, even if it's the first time you've ever seen my face and you feel like I just randomly joined this class. I don't even know what somebody invited me and I'm here. But no matter what, no matter where you are, who you are, what you are, it is undeniable. The version of you that you are now is very, very different from the version of you that you were only a few months ago, or a year ago, or for those of you that have been charting your process and your growth and just watching the level to which we've changed and shifted, it is absolutely undeniable. Over the past few years and months and days and weeks and even hours and moments before we came in the door here today, we are constantly shifting, we are changing, and all we have to do is, turn on the television or look at your phone or any of those things to see the level to which this entire world, every single element of our society, whether internally or externally, is going through a great shift, whether you want to call it a reset or an awakening or a generational activation, a dimensional shift. It doesn't matter. The reality is it is happening. This great awakening and the shift of human consciousness is upon us, and we are quite literally in the birth pains of a new generation. So as we enter 2021, each of us will be embarking on the next phase of our individual and collective experiences here on Earth. In fact, I'll say it, in 2021, many, many things about what we know as reality. It's always a big word, right, guys? As soon as people start throwing around that one, right, everyone's like, huh? All the way down to the manner in which we understand and experience this day-to-day experiential space we know as reality is even going to be shifting. A lot of us have already experienced it, but for those who have heard the call, this year will be seen in history as one of the most transformational and empowering stages of our journey in this physical life. It's part of the reason why you guys were called to this class and this training program. It's the reason why I created and have been guided to, continue to create these things. It's because we chose this time that we are in. We chose this stage. Even if you're looking around right now and you're feeling disheartened and you're feeling beaten down and you're watching all this chaos and you're feeling the loss and the worry, this is what we signed up for. And why? Because we knew that there were going to be this series of events, and we knew prior to coming into this world that they had to be eclipsed, they had to be removed. We had to go through a process of discovery here in the physical body here on Earth so that we could live through this great mystery, this great experience. And you guys can tell I'm already diverting from the content here, but I say it at the start of these courses. Earth is not a prison planet. We are not trapped here. This is something that we created, and it is absolutely one of the most beautiful incarnational experiences that we will ever have. And so no matter where you guys are, no matter what you're feeling, thank you. Thanks for being here. This is it. This is go time. 2021, we have a massive shift and a renaissance period beginning here on planet Earth. And so what are we doing, though? Let me get back to it, because you guys know I'll just kind of go on and on for a while. But what are we actually doing? And I'll just real quickly, I'm going to grab my comment window here so I can see your guys' questions. And also really quickly, I'm going to do this as we get started. I want to let you guys know it's not to silence anyone or anything like that, but I just mute everyone in the beginning. That's just a thing that we do, so don't get mad at me. Nothing personal. That's just what we do. So you'll notice you're muted, but I do see all the questions. And I'm one of those people that a lot of the content and a lot of the directions that we go in this course is based off of the questions that you guys have. And so I will say it now, and I'm going to say it again in the future. There are no dumb questions. There's not too many places within this multi-dimensional realm and just this soul group here on earth where we can come together and literally ask questions about spirituality or energy or energetic anatomy and not feel dumb or ridiculed, because not everyone's going to know about this stuff. Not everyone even here knows what the chakras are. Not everyone's heard of it, but we've been called here, each of us for our own reason. And so in the beginning, I want to say, honestly, there are no dumb questions. You can ask them at any time. And oftentimes right before I will transition to the next slide, we'll start answering those questions, and I'll look at your comments. And so don't get mad if I skip them. Sometimes I'll just kind of skip through stuff. It's nothing personal, but I want to let you guys know what to expect and what we're going to be doing. And so during the next 7 weeks of your life, you will be going on a very new and particular type of internal and external healing journey. Our mission is to facilitate a clearing and realignment of some of the key structural elements of the human energetic anatomy, the chakra system. We will be moving section by section, layer by layer through the subtle pathways in the body and creating new light, new flow, a realignment, and a harmonizing of our internal and external energy in ways that many of us have heard about, but rarely have we experienced. And so how do we do that? Each week we will learn about, visit, activate, and clear our chakras in a new way. And you can see it there on the screen. Yes, using an extraterrestrial healing modality known as scalar toning. Anytime you use that word in these courses, people get a little, huh? And rightfully so. We're going to be demonstrating this to you over and over and over again. And over the course of the 7 weeks, your body, your consciousness, your voice, you will be entrained and also trained. You will be activated to create this conscious frequency within you. And so it's called scalar toning. And what it is essentially the body's ability to create an actual auditory frequency capable of penetrating and clearing multidimensional blockages in the body on an unprecedented level. It's a conscious wavelength of energy emitted by the human body. Here's the crazy thing. You're already doing it right now. The problem is, or maybe it's not a problem, the gap for many of us is that we don't necessarily have the tools or the understanding. It has not been explained, and we don't really understand the mechanisms of spiritual or non-physical technology in the body. And so what we're doing over these 7 weeks is teaching people how to create a conscious vibration within the physical container that you can use for, and I say this very, very, very carefully, any purpose. It's just a fact of our realm. Things go both directions, but what we're here to do over the next 7 weeks is empower, strengthen, heal, and activate the energy body on an entirely new level. And so, for each person here, you will receive and go through a process of healing that is totally unique to you and you alone. Meaning that some of us have come here to go through a path of healing or activation. Some of us are here to become healers and we're picking up a new skill. Others, we're just here to go through a process by which we will pick up key pieces of information, elements of teaching. A lot of us that are here are very learned, very experienced healers. We've been going around and around the non-physical, regions of our realm for many, many years. And so what everyone picks up here is entirely individual to you. Some of the things I'm going to talk about, you're going to be like, well, Matthew, I don't know. I think it's entirely different. It's going to be this way or it's that way. And so I also say this up front. One of the most incredible things about, just this great awakening and the consciousness renaissance that we are in right now is that we are literally figuring this out together. There is no one ultimate authority on the nature of chakras or how they work or what they look like or how they flow or non-physical anatomy in the body. There is nobody like that. But what we are doing is coming to an understanding as a group, and certain individuals like myself and also many of you guys here in this class are part of a group of people on the earth plane who chose to come together during this period in our development so that we can understand, use, and then spread this knowledge outward in our own ways. And so each of us gets a little something different here. There will be a week. I'm going to say this up front. This is a bold statement, but it happens every single time. There will be moments in this course when we will be hanging out here just talking, and you will feel great waves of emotion. There's a moment for each and every person in which we will inevitably reach this frayed cord or this sort of sore or this wound or this bubble inside us. And who knows where it is? For each and every person, it could be in a different place. But we say this up front. Embrace your emotions. Allow the internal dialogue. Allow those thought forms. And just simply notice what arises within you as we go through this strange process week by week. And so, many of us are awakening and activating into entirely new versions of ourselves this year. And, once again, getting back to the content here, it's very, very important for us to only take what fits. There's going to be a lot of things, like I just said. I'm going to say it, and your body's going to recognize it as truth. You're going to be like, yep, that's it. And you will also come to the stage in which you're like, I don't know if that's true for me. I hear what they're saying, but yeah, throw it out. Literally toss it out. Everyone's figuring this out together. And so, before we begin, I always like to say this as well. Please remember one thing. The level to which you experience this energy is directly proportional to the level at which we allow ourselves to fully participate. What this means is that even if you don't know what we're talking about, even if you don't understand, even if it's your first time, even if your internal experience tells you something else, and as soon as we reach into the layers of the non-physical body, your mind goes crazy and it turns on and you ask yourself, am I doing this right? Is this the way we're supposed to do it? I think I'm supposed to feel something. And so wherever you are in that journey, our only mission is to fully participate. Allow the childhood self, and remember, whatever we put into this, we receive every single bit of it. Even if, in the moment, we're like, well, this is very new ground, and I'm willing to believe, I'm willing to understand, but, I don't understand non-physical energy. What does it feel like? How does it work? Where does it go? Well, don't worry. That's what we're here to figure out. And so, let us continue. Let me know if you guys have any questions down there. We're going to keep rolling through. Hello. Good to see you guys. And so, let's talk about a major process that we're going to be doing this time. This is probably one of the most important things we've been doing in each one of these classes. In the very, very beginning, when I started doing these courses, it was a little bit of an unofficial thing, and we kind of would start. I think the first one was a tarot course. We started like almost 3 years ago. Crazy. And we would just talk about detox, and then I would say things like, hey, if you really want to make use of this energy, there's a few things we can do while we're going through this process that will help it work better. It'll help it sink in. It'll really allow the energy body to begin to receive and integrate this energy. And over the past couple of years, we kind of transformed it. And for those of you guys that were in the Mournian course, which we did a few months ago, we did some very particular additional physical, what I call supplemental healing processes on the side, after class, outside. And so the cool thing is this time around we have a Qigong routine that we're going to be doing every single week, but we're also, and this is a really good thing to do at the beginning of a new year, guys. If this is your first time learning about heavy metal detox, this is a very, very, very important thing for you to receive. For those of you guys that are truly, truly wanting to open up the non-physical layers in the body, there is a actual frequency created by heavy metal buildup in the body that will slow down, it will stunt, it will soften, it will limit the process by which we are able to tangibly feel this energy. And so what we've been doing through these classes, and each and every time we start a new detox cycle. And so how can we take this to the next level, everybody? Well, we're exposed to a number of consciousness dampening chemicals, minerals, and metals through our environment, weaponized food and water supply on a daily basis. Everybody knows that. We all know how that works. One of the things that makes this course unique is that we not only work with the energetic and emotional templates within the body, but also the physical. And so by simultaneously addressing multiple layers of the body in a focused manner, over a period of weeks, we can facilitate much greater states of change in a much shorter period, while also allowing the new frequency and the new energy and sort of the openings and the changes that we're creating in the non-physical body to more fully seat themselves, to really sink in, to allow these new grooves to be built in the record within us, if that makes sense, within our dimensional layers. And so as in many of our past courses, each time we begin a new cycle of healing and activation, it can be incredibly helpful to also address any related imbalances in the physical body. by starting a dedicated heavy metal detox as we continue this journey. And so if you want to join us in this process, I'm going to let you guys know this is a process I'm also going to be beginning. I had to order a few of these because I haven't taken them in a few months, but let's talk about that. This is also a good place to begin to throw some questions in, but one of the things we like to do during this process is use specific supplements that'll help us really oxidize and begin to transmit, break up, and move heavy metal buildup out of the body. And so one of the most powerful things I've been using probably since I think 2016 is fulvic acid. And so I'm going to say it. You guys can also see it on the screen, but for those of you guys that want to go through this process, you can get this stuff on Amazon or at health food stores. I know some of you guys are in other parts of the world where it can be difficult to reach these type of supplements. We just do the best that we can. And so I would say if there's anything that you can get a hold of, you guys, fulvic acid is probably going to be one of the #1 most useful things that I have ever encountered. What I have noticed in my own body and in viewing the chemical processes in other people with fulvic acid is that it seems to oxidize the heavy metal buildup around the upper chakras, specifically the sides of your head, around this region. What happens is over time, heavy metal buildup creates a literal ring. It builds up in a ring around the sides of our head, and that's one of the things that causes brain fog. It's one of the things that allows our emotions and thought forms to be manipulated and influenced. It leads itself to things like Alzheimer's, dementia, all sorts of negative symptoms and issues in the body. And fulvic acid seems to have the ability to cross the blood-brain barrier and begin to oxidize heavy metal buildup. And so it's a very, very helpful thing to begin to take, as is bentonite clay. In fact, I put those two things at the top because I think if there's two things that you're going to buy on this list, those are probably going to be, in my opinion, and this is just me as an experiencer, because one of the things we're going to learn about heavy metal detox, everybody, is that everyone is an expert. Everyone has a thing that works specifically for them. And there's really no, just like with energy, there's really no one best anything. It's what actually works for you. For myself and for a lot of the clients I've worked with, bentonite clay in liquid form is one of the most useful. It's probably one of the least symptomatic. And as long as you really hydrate yourself, it helps us begin to clear the intestines, also the intestinal meridians, if you want to get technical. But along with fulvic acid, just those two things alone are going to begin to create a shift in not only your upper chakras and your mental ability to feel and perceive energy, but also down in the gut, down in the lower reaches down there. And what that's going to do is help you guys begin to develop the energy in a place called the lower dantian, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But anyway, I'd like you guys to look on this list here. Let me know if you guys have any questions about it. Brenda says, can bentonite clay be used internally? My bottle says external. Absolutely, 100%. You probably want to make sure that it's a food-grade bentonite clay, which is why I put Great Plains on there, because that's a brand that I got on Amazon for like $13, and it's very effective. And what you'll do is you'll take about a tablespoon in a big glass of water. With bentonite clay, I like to take it at night because it's such a powerful thing. It will very much just soak up all sorts of stuff in your stomach. And so very, very helpful. And I even see it there on the screen. Heather Cox says, I had issues with lead and bentonite clay. Absolutely. You certainly can. That's why I chose to include that Great Plains brand right there, because I think that's probably, by my understanding and experience, one of the best ways to get it. But there's many, many different types, and that's why I also put alternatives to bentonite, diatomaceous earth, zeolites. There's many different forms of zeolites right now that will also create the removal, and it's just the activation process of toxins in the body, and it starts to pull them out. And so bentonite, zeolite, diatomaceous earth, all those things will help you. For those of us, I would also say magnesium is probably one of the top ones, but magnesium and silica are going to help to kind of rebuild and restructure some of the, what we would call the non-physical cellular environments around the chakras. And so they also just help replace and bind to aluminum in the body. If there's one heavy metal right now that I think people really need to be aware of and really limit, is aluminum. It's going to have a direct impact on how you're able to perceive energy, and it will literally block your third eye. Just like fluoride, aluminum does it in a little bit of a different way, and it lays more within the layers of the lymphatic system. And so just something to be made aware of. Everyone has their own list, you guys. This is just stuff that I've used. You guys are going to have things that for you, you're like, oh man, I know a way better thing. Please, please use what works for you. The idea is that over this 7-week period, we're going to be charting and noticing the changes that take place within the body, mind, spirit complex. And this detox is going to be one of the deciding factors that's going to turn, a fun class for 6 weeks where we learn about energy anatomy and open us up into, something that will literally transform your entire body. And I promise you, there are people who went through this process in summer of last year that I'm still talking to about it, that we're still talking about, like, oh, that was really, really powerful. There's big changes that occur. And so it's just stuff to be made aware of. Like it says down there on the screen, we always get the liquid version of these supplements. They have a much higher bioavailability. When it comes to many Chinese herbs, you're going to end up getting, just the actual pill form. That's totally cool. But with a lot of the mineral supplements, I found that the liquid form is going to give you so much more bioavailability. And so how do we take these guys? Because some of them will create a little bit of symptoms. Everyone's going to have their own threshold, how much they can handle. I say just start small in the beginning. Drink a ton of water and take just one dropper full of whatever you have in the morning. We like to take it before you eat, but be very gentle with yourself, because for those of you guys that haven't done heavy metal detox before, you might get some real symptoms. And within a couple days, you'll notice some big stormy emotions. If you don't drink enough water, you'll get, you might get constipated. Your stomach will hurt. You'll get big feelings. Some of us get very frustrated and sweaty. And so it's very important. We really need to hydrate. For those of you guys that are going to be doing the heavy metal detox, you're gonna kind of be making yourself a little bit sick with water in the morning, because you're going to pound a bunch of water. You're going to take some supplements and minerals, and you're going to just watch how that begins to spread itself through the body. And with the work that we're doing in the Qigong routine we're about to do in a few moments here, man, you guys are going to notice some interesting shifts. And so I see your comments here. Absolutely. Cassandra Fleski, thank you for mentioning the lung issues with fulvic acid. That is a beautiful thing. You are a direct confirmation of my initial experience with fulvic acid. You guys, when I first discovered fulvic acid, I was walking through the store and I saw it, and this voice in my head was, oh, buy it. I didn't know why, but I was at a stage of my life where I was like, okay. And so I did, and I took it over to my workplace, and I was just on my lunch break, and I took fulvic acid for the first time, and I noticed that within about 20 minutes, all of a sudden I could I could breathe. It was literally like my chest kind of opened just a little bit, and I could notice this breath sort of came in. And that is a direct example. Other people have experienced that, and I think that's kind of what Cassandra was talking about. People will experience this. It's almost like an increase in oxygen, their ability to take in air. And that's how you're going to know that your body was very deficient in it. It'll also how you know that you can have a blockage within the lung meridian, which for a lot of us is old emotions. And so just a good thing to use. And so Charlene says aluminum is heavily used in deodorants. You are 100% correct. There are lots of non-aluminum deodorants. Here's the crazy thing, you guys. I know we're already going kind of off track because you guys know I'm going to ramble about a lot of stuff. But believe it or not, when you fully really I shouldn't say fully because it's an ongoing process, but with dedicated detox in the body, you will even notice your sweat glands and the scent and the quality of what's emitted through, especially your underarms. It will literally change. But yeah, there are many non-aluminum deodorants. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on, you guys, because we're going to start doing a Qigong routine here. So how does it work with the heavy metal detox? After a couple weeks, sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's a few days. Everyone has a different level of buildup in the body. Some people will begin to take these things and they get crazy symptoms instantly. And I'll be honest with you guys, be gentle with yourself. But if you do get some detox symptoms, that's usually a sign that it's working. And I say that very gently because for those of us that have been through heavy metal detoxes before, there's some triggering that will occur. Thought forms will arise and you'll get yeah, exactly. Heather Cox knows the Herxheimer reaction. At least I think that's how you say it. But anyway, so be very gentle with yourselves. And for some people, the heavy metal detox, like I said, this will be one of the most effective things you do this entire year, especially to restore functioning. And I'm going to go, once again, we're going to go off topic here, and I'm going to state it. A lot of us are going to be receiving certain injections, probably nobody in this class, but a lot of our loved ones, a lot of people in the world are going to get, vaccinations or injections or whatever it is. And one of the byproducts inherent within all Western medicine and pharmaceuticals at this stage is heavy metal toxicity and buildup. And so you're also going to be helping to limit the level to which those pharmaceutical things, if you do still take them, are going to be able to create a damaging effect in your body. And so along with the detox, we're going to be doing Qigong. And if you guys can begin a process of really devoting yourself to doing any form of conscious movement, any form, yoga, Qigong, Tai Chi, martial arts, even just walking meditations, you're going to find along with this detox, it's going to be even easier. These are deciding factors. And so with that, get ready, guys. We're going to do a Qigong routine. I'm going to share my screen, and so I want to let you guys know how the Qigong routines are going to go. We're going to be doing a different one every week. And so, yes, Carissa, I'm going to answer your question just one moment there. But I do want to let you know, how does this Qigong routine thing going to go? Well, we're going to be doing a different one every week, and I want to let you know the first one I had to pre-record, and I'm going to tell you straight up why, you guys, is because our house was too small, and I had to rearrange some things so we could get a camera angle. And so the first Qigong routine is pre-recorded. And the cool thing about it is that it's going to be an unlisted link on YouTube, so you guys can go and watch just that little routine. It's a 15-minute routine we're going to do. You can watch it again later. And it's also going to be in the recording here because I'm going to screen share it. And so what I'm going to let you know is next week we're going to be doing it live. And the aim is that through each week, we're going to give you an actual movement that's going to help you transmit or move or activate the energy of the chakras that we're going to be working with. And so it's a multi-leveled process. And so yes, Carissa Hanners, a very important question. Can you please tell me to do this detox even though I'm a smoker? Yes, you totally can. I want to say that I will say for the record, you guys, I also smoke here and there. It's a real thing. We all have our own vice. Don't worry. It's it is a thing, but yes, it's really, really going to help you. And I would say for those of us that do smoke or have any of those old world vices, this heavy metal detox is going to truly, truly release some of the sedimentation that keeps us locked into that kind of stuff. And that's why I wanted to mention that, because I think that's another thing. At this stage of the Earth journey, it's very common. Everyone's going to have a little something. For some of us, it's sugar every now and then. For some people, it's alcohol. For some people, it's smoking. It's part of our experience here that we're going to have some of these behaviors. And so one of the things that happens when we start to open up the chakras, which is why I really like to mention this, is we begin to release the existential or the emotional blockages within the body that makes it very easy for us to continue to return back to those types of behaviors. And each and one in and of themselves is not inherently negative. It's the level to which we allow it to affect the body. And so, yes, do the heavy metal detox. Absolutely, it's going to have a big effect on you. That said, let's begin some Qigong. So hopefully, I'm going to transition my little screen here, you guys. Let's pray it works. So here we go. We're going to put this in full screen mode. And like I said before, this is the first time we are doing this. We're going to share the sound on this video clip. And so as we get started, I would like everyone to just grab a place in your home where you can stretch, you can stand up, you can begin to move your arms around. Don't worry if you don't have much room. Don't worry if even today, even if you can't do it, because I want to say we didn't really heavily announced that we were going to be doing this Qigong routine, but if you can create a little space where you can kind of bend over and stretch a little bit, we're going to stay mostly standing, but I'm going to make sure my comments are active here, and we are going to get going. And so I'm going to count on you guys to let me know you can hear the audio in the recording, and we're going to go ahead and get started. This is about a 15-minute routine we're going to be doing, and we're going to be doing a different one of these every week. So here we go. This is our Qigong. So what we're going to be doing today is our first Qigong routine of this course. And so what I'm going to be showing you is 3 simple kind of starters. These are the actual moves and the routines that I do every day before I begin to do sessions and I start working with clients. And so what we're going to be doing today is a little bit of a simplified version of it, just to get everyone going and to get everyone's energy flowing as we start the rest of the stuff we're going to be doing over the next month. And so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to be doing is called shaking the tree. And what you're going to first off, start out with putting your legs maybe a little bit more than shoulder width apart. So you have a little bit of a bend in your legs, and you're going to want to keep your waist straight up. You're not going to be tight, but we're just going to allow everything to kind of flow. And what we're basically going to do is just begin waving your arms around. You're going to keep your legs planted. You're going to just allow your hips and your trunk, your arms to just kind of wave back and forth, kind of like wavy noodles. We're just getting our energy flowing. This is a really good way to get started. And this is one of the first things I do every time I get ready to see a client, or we just start opening up our energy field. So we're just going to keep doing this. Just twisting back and forth, nice and gentle. Notice where my hands are hitting my body. As you bring your hands around, what you're going to want to do is make deliberate contact, albeit gently, with the body. Some of you guys are going to hit down here on your arms, right down here. It doesn't matter. Also in the back as well. It's a good place to make contact with the kidneys in your back, but just very gentle. And so we're just kind of waving back and forth. Deep breathing, gentle and slow, and just keep going. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a side view as well. We're going to turn to the side. So once again, we're pretty much straight up and down. You're going to have your knees just a little bit bent. Once again, we're just twisting around. And it is very much like you're shaking the tree, but we're just shaking the branches. Everything flowing. Okay, the next pose we're going to do is called lifting the sky. And so what you're going to want to do is, first off, we're going to bring our legs a little bit closer in. You're going to be maybe just about shoulder width apart, sometimes a little bit farther. And so what you're going to do is basically let your arms hang down, and we're going to turn our arms into L's. You're going to bring your palms out as flat as you can, and you don't have to necessarily lock your elbow, but try to keep it as straight as you can right here. And so I'd like you guys to watch me. And so what we're going to do is we're going to be breathing in and raise your arms. Inhale, inhale, inhale up here. Pause, and then exhale all the way down. As I bring my hands down, you're going to be getting to the bottom of your breath. And when we get down to the bottom, we're going to do a short recovery breath. Just real quick, bring your breath in and release. And so we're going to do that again, a little bit smoother. Bring your hands right down in front of you. Make your palms into L's. Make it as straight as you can. And as we breathe in, we raise our hands. We get to the top of the breath at the top, we simply exhale. Let that breath out. When you get to the bottom of your breath down here, just a quick recovery breath as we reset. Breathe in and all the way down. And so that makes it really easy to reset your hands right down here at the bottom. So bring everything down. Here we go. Once again, breathe in. Pause at the top. And exhale. All the way down. I'm going to do one from the side. So once again, your knees aren't locked. They're a little bit bent. Everything's just a little bit loose. We're never fully tightened. We're just kind of real easily standing straight. Take your hands. Once again, place them down. And then breathe in. And breathe out. So this is a good place to watch the recovery breath. As you bring your hands down, you're going to breathe in again, but you're going to pull your belly in. It's called a reverse breath. And so as we breathe in, you're still going to breathe in, but you're going to pull your belly in as far as you can. So we're going to do that one again. Hands down, breathe in, and breathe out. And on that recovery breath, breathe in and pull your stomach in. Hold it. And then gently release it. And so we're going to do that again 3 more times. So So once again, we're just bringing our hands down nice and smooth, nice and straight. Into L's, we're going to do 3 of these in a row. Here we go. Breathe in. Breathe out. Gentle and slow. In between breath. And let it out. Go ahead, reset your hands right down here. Breathe in. And breathe out all the way down. At the bottom of your breath, reset. And bring your hands back down once again. Here we go, last one. Breathe in. And out. All the way down. Bring your hands down to the bottom at the bottom of the breath. Breathe in one more time. And breathe out. We're going to just do one more of those just to make sure everybody gets it. Once again, our legs are straight, just a little bit farther apart. Bring those hands down. Make them into L's. Keep your elbows straight. Here we go. Breathe in. And breathe out. Gentle and slow. And on the last one, we can simply release it. Okay, the next pose we're going to do is called Carrying the Moon. Out of all of the Qigong moves I do, this is probably the most common one. And I probably have done this more than any other, all the way down to the extent that I've kind of modified and made a couple changes within the breathing and the movement of this posture that I think really aid the work we're going to be doing in this course. And so a little bit different than lifting the sky. What we're going to do is bring your legs a little bit farther apart. I would say a bit more than shoulder width apart. And you're going to want to stay loose for this one. This is going to be where we begin to bend down, but you're going to want to keep your legs as straight as you can. Keep your knees straight, and it's very much like we're just tilting over as far down as you can go. And you're just going to let your arms hang. For some of you guys, you're only going to be able to go down a little bit. At the beginning, that's okay. Just let yourself hang as far down as you can. Keep your legs as straight as you can, and we're just going to allow our hands to just hang. Just kind of let them move back and forth, and it's very much like we're starting to work with the energy underneath us. We're just kind of moving our hands around, almost like you have a couple pendulums, and your hands will just kind of move on their own. You'll start to feel a little bit of a movement, a little bit of a temperature shift in your hands, but you just start to move it around. Really let your back start to stretch out. Hang down as low as you can go. Don't worry if you can't go too far. Go down as far as you can. And so when we're ready, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be grabbing the energy, and just like we did with the other pose, we're going to be inhaling as we rise. And so I'll show you guys. Here we go. Breathe in. Go all the way up to the top of your breath. Pause here. Press your tongue to the roof of your mouth. And as you exhale, gentle and slow. When you get down to the bottom on that out breath, just like we did before, you're going to breathe in, pull it up. But this time we go all the way down once again. And just let your body hang. Let your shoulders kind of open up and begin to extend. Remember, just go down as far as you can. Some of you guys are going to need to bend your knees, and that's okay. But keep them as straight as you can. It's very much like you're just tilting in half. And so here we go. Just let your arms hang, kind of move them around. It's like you're circulating that energy underneath you. And when you're ready, breathe in, grab that energy. At the top of your breath, pause, hold your tongue to the roof of your mouth. And exhale. Bring it all the way down. Slow breath in. And release it. Here we go. Keep going. Go down as far as you can go. You're going to notice your hands are going to start to feel a little warmer. Your feet are going to feel a little colder. Just let your arms kind of sway around. You're going to be starting to open up the passageways and the channels in your arms and just kind of let them hang. Here we go. Breathe in. At the top, pause. Bring your tongue to the roof of your mouth. And exhale all the way down. We're going to do one from the side. Once again, notice when I bend over, you're going to keep your legs as straight as you can, but you're not going to go too tight. Just do the best you can. Tilt over as far as you can go. Just let those arms hang. It's like you're going to be scooping up energy from the earth and holding it above you. Here we go. You can even bend your knees as you go down. Breathe in. At the top, pause. Put your tongue to the roof of your mouth. And release it. So we're going to do 3 more of those. Here we go. Once again, for some of you guys, you can put your legs even farther apart. If it feels better, if it's easier for you in the beginning, go ahead. For some of you guys, it's going to be closer. I like to go a little bit farther than shoulder width. You bend down. Circulate that energy underneath you. Sometimes your hands are going to go in circles. Sometimes they're going to go back and forth. We just allow the body to begin to move and open up. Here we go. We're going to do 3 of these in a row. Grab that energy. Breathe in. Pause. Breathe out, gentle and slow. In between recovery breath. Bring it in. And as we breathe out, we bend down once again. Here's number 2. Circulate that energy underneath you. And down. Inhale. Pause at the top. And exhale. In between breath. And exhale. This is our last one. Really get that energy underneath you. Allow your hands to move and sway. Go down as low as you can. In the beginning, it's a little bit hard, so don't worry. For some of us, it's very difficult, but grab that energy on the inhale. Here we go. Breathe in. Pause at the top. Hold your tongue to the roof of your mouth. And exhale. In between breaths. There we go. Okay, guys, the next pose is essentially a charging posture that we're going to be using for week 1 and 2 to start getting the energy flowing from the Earth Star Chakra up into the root and then also up into the sacral chakra. For some of you guys, this can be a very difficult way to hold your body. If it's your first time doing this, don't beat yourself up. Just do the best that you can. But what we're going to essentially be doing is really just squatting. For some of you guys, you're going to hold your legs pretty far apart. For others, it's going to be a little bit more than shoulder width, but we're going to get down as far as you can. Notice my elbows. I'm going to kind of press them underneath my thighs. For some of you guys, this will also be very difficult. Just do the best you can, but it's very much like a squat. And so we're going to get down here. And this is where we start to work with a little bit of that mantis energy. You're just going to very gently sway back and forth. Do the best you can. Breathe. You're starting to open up your lower chakras in a new way. Your body's going to feel some heat. Do the best that you can. Just move back and forth. For some of you guys, you're just going to hold. Breathe your energy deliberately downward toward the perineum. This is a charging pose that's going to help the work that we're going to be doing here in week 1. So let's just hold. Once again, if you can, if it's easy, just gently back and forth. Gentle and slow. Here we go. We're going to rise very slowly. Real slow, bring that energy upward, just like we did before, all the way up. Just exhale, stretch everything out. You're going to feel a lot of energy in your thighs. Good job. There we go. And now that we did our first ever Qigong routine, let's talk about some chakras. Boom. So in the meantime, I'm going to open up this little comment thing. Let me know how you guys felt about that. Like I said, we had to pre-record it, which was not really the way that I wanted to do it from the beginning, but it allowed me to kind of explain a little bit more about what we're doing and just give you guys an example of some of the moves that are so incredibly deceptively simple. They're so simple, and when you start using those, you will literally begin. This is a big claim for some of you guys that are like, Matthew, what? This is a process that upon doing it daily will begin to reverse age your body. I know that's always such a weighty thing to throw around, right? People are like, what? What are you trying to tell me if you stand here and do these strange poses every day and breathe and just do this deceptively simple thing? It will literally begin to work out, and it's like awakening muscles in your body that are non-physical, things that we don't even know are there until someone goes, oh, hey, move like this strange thing, and it will begin to actually awaken these channels and the just your palpable sensibility of where these things in the body are. So thank you for joining that. And thank you on that comment, Luther. I've been trying to figure out the right audio level to put on those things, and so thank you. Next week, we'll get it a little bit better. Thank you, Justine, Mishia. Thanks for being here. All right, guys, let's talk about the chakras. You know these classes tend to go a little bit long, so we're gonna sort of jump into what's going on here, because one of the things we're doing over this next 7 weeks, the most important thing is learning these non-physical layers in the body, and so let's get down to it. For those of you guys that haven't heard by now, the human body is surrounded by an invisible torus-shaped field of energy, a sphere that has an opening at the top and the bottom, and through which energy is constantly surging and flowing through both into a circular container, a reality bubble. And so within this field exists a complex network of chakras, meridians, dimensional layers, and countless other energetic structures. As our awareness expands outside of the bounds of the physical body, it is crucial that we begin understanding the subtle flow of non-physical energy and the way its effects extend into every layer of our third dimensional physical experience. And so we're going to look at these chakra layers here. What are they? How do they work? How does this actually go? This is a good time to ask questions, but let's talk a bit about it. So most people understand, I think in Sanskrit, chakra actually means wheel or disc or, vortice or gateway of energy in the body, any way you want to describe it. What we find for most people is that each person will have their own manner by which they will visually or internally perceive the energy of chakras. Each and every person has their own version, and for some of us, it is entirely non-visual. So don't worry if at this stage, even if you are feeling energy and you're like, how come I don't see these twisting, turning wheels of energy in the body? Don't worry. I think that's everyone's going to have their own version of understanding. And so as we continue to progress in our physical containers, this energy, lots of us have heard of it, the process of Kundalini rising, and a lot of the New Age terms and misunderstood processes that we go through, a lot of them have to do over the course of the physical life cycle with conscious energy rising through these gateways and invisible layers in the body. It's part of our experience here on Earth that as we go through that process, we go through states of change, states of awakening, healing journeys, understandings, epiphanies, activations, all sorts of things that will also be mirrored internally and externally in the body. And so the chakras are one of what I would call the sort of first primary layer of non-physical anatomy in the body. I've said this many times, so it's a little bit cheesy now, but everyone knows it's true because, let's say if we did an autopsy on somebody, and, we're just trying to understand, what did this person die from? And, let's say you do the autopsy and, you'll find the lungs, you'll find the heart, you'll find the spleen, but you won't find a heart chakra. You won't find a spleen chakra. You won't find a kidney meridian. You won't even find the solar plexus chakra. And yet, the energy, the experience, the emotion, the understanding, the level to which it affects our behaviors and our well-being here in the physical body is absolutely real. Even though they're not perceived physically, you can't put your hand on it. Well, the reality is you can, but we have not yet been fully trained or understood, or are even within the sort of frequency of consciousness that allows us to physically palpate and move these non-physical energies just yet. What we can do is create vibrations in the body and begin to work outside of the physical container that allows us to then begin working with these pieces of anatomy. And so, anyway, before I go on too far, it is widely accepted throughout most schools of thought or cultural influence, whatever you want to call it. There are 7 primary internal chakras. Most people come to that understanding when we start researching layers of the non-physical body. They hear about, the root chakra all the way up to the crown chakra, what we call the 7-layer energy burrito in the body. And it's an absolutely real thing, but depending on where you're from, depending on what school of thought you're from, or, who taught you, or what books you bought, or what new age blogs you read, some people will believe that there are as few as 3 energy centers in the body. Some cultural understandings have them at 6. Others will go as far as 144, or, when looking at a thing called the nadial complex, they'll say there's 72,000 nadis, or what we will discover next week, invisible channels in the body that serve as a circulatory system for the chakras. There's so many of them that does it even matter? I don't know if it does, because even if, let's say we understand that there's 144 chakras in the body, what good is it if you don't know what they do or how they work or what to do about them, or what you can even do if something's wrong or if something's, quote unquote broken, or, whatever the operative term is. And so what we're understanding is that the quantity of chakras or channels in the body is 100% irrelevant. What's most important at this stage is our ability to understand and use consciously the energy within. And so, regardless of where you stand, one possible explanation for the variance in quantity or placement of chakras in the body could be due to the process of what we call chakra compression. Always a fun term to talk about, but essentially what it is the transition from 7 internalized energy centers into 3 energy centers, known as the dantians. You can see that little image down there on the screen. And I'm going to divert from what we see on the screen here, because for some of us here on the earth plane, we will go through a process over multiple physical life cycles in which the chakras in the body will begin to compress into 3 energy centers. Some of us will continue along with the sort of diversified chakra system, but for those, and this is also one of my theories, one of my understandings, so this is one of the points in this course where you only wear this one if it fits, but for many of us that are here in this class and are going through this conscious awakening and just this transformation right now, one of the ways in which we begin to understand things like ascension symptoms, or a lot of the end times craziness, or really just the incredible transformations that occur in our body, is due partially to the chakra compression process, in a stage in which the chakras begin to tightly concentrate into 3 energy centers. And it is my belief that that is kind of the standard issue energy makeup with respect to the chakra system for what we would call a 4th density human body, the next incarnation or the next physical cycle after this. And I will say this, yes, there are other physical cycles after this specific life cycle. That's a thing. But what happens is, as we continue through those processes of incarnation, the energy centers in the body will also change. And so for some of us that subscribe to the 4th density transition, or the understanding of that, where we are going is into the Dantian structure. And so in bringing it back to what we see on the screen here, for some people on the earth plane, this is a process that's natural. It will take place, and it'll gradually, we will go through it as we develop our energy and go through the awakening process. In others, it is a process that we can actively cultivate and enhance in our own ways by beginning to work with our own system. The level to which each person is able to compress and concentrate the energy of the chakras is entirely different and individual. But I think it's important to note, because you guys will find this in other bloggers and just people that talk about energetic anatomy. I do not personally believe it is possible to remove a chakra from the body. Removing a chakra from the body would be akin to, just taking your liver out. Why? We don't need it. Let's take it out. Sure, we can take out certain organs. When we talk about energy anatomy, we don't necessarily ever need to even conceptualize the removal of a chakra. These are things that are inherent to the human energy system. But what we can do is begin to tune, reconfigure, to heal. You will hear people say, I broke my heart chakra. And one of the things we're going to be understanding as a result of this course and a lot of the other multidimensional education you guys are going through is that these are not things that will break. These are not things that are removed, but they can be very easily, and in cases of trauma, they can be deactivated. They could be set in what we would call a reverse spin. They could be rerouted around. They can be suppressed. They can be tainted. It can be very much like, fluid in a fish tank, and the water will become incredibly dirty, incredibly polluted, but the energy centers persist and remain. Once again, it's more about what we do with the understanding of the energy rather than the quantity or the quality or any of those things. And so, when beginning to understand the chakra system, the important thing is, like I just said, not how many we have or even, where they may be placed, but rather our knowledge, awareness, and ability to use, heal, or activate this energy that truly matters. When it comes to the realm of non-physical energy, we are definitely figuring this out together. And at this stage of our collective evolution, it is critical that we become aware of the phenomenon of negative energetic manifestations. Things like entities, attachments, negative transfer of emotional energy, implantation, all those weird things. How we are sending and receiving energy, and especially the level to which our developing chakra system can be affected by a host of conditions. Emotional energy blockage, frequency interference, etheric attachment, even implantation are very real, and what we call the maladies of the starseed. And so I've explained this before in other classes, but what do we mean when we say the maladies of the starseed? Well, for a lot of us that are here, we have somewhat of an internal, or maybe this completely out in the public understanding that maybe we're not necessarily from here. We are beings that incarnate and come here into physical bodies to do the earth game. And for many of us, we come in with these conditions. For some of us, they're addictions, they're abuses. Every now and then, we will have to play the role as the victimizer or the abuser. And it's a very, very tangled web of this incarnational cycles that we go through. And so we are at the stage in the journey in which one of the most important things we can begin to do is understand how these non-physical things really work. And so let's look at the anatomy of some of the chakras, because this is also a good place to begin understanding how we will perceive or feel these things. And what you're going to see here on the screen, just like on the last one, is a little bit of an outline, sort of a map of what we're going to be working with. And what I'm really going to do is we're going to be showing this every week, so we're not going to dwell on this slide too much. But what you're going to see here on the screen is 3 depictions. Everyone perceives these things differently. In the middle there, we'll see these like funnel-like appendages or, offshoots of energy coming out of the body. And I will tell you, it is pretty accurate, by my perception. There is absolutely 100% a front opening and a back opening for each chakra. When we begin to talk about the torus-shaped sphere of energy that's around the body, these funnels or these sort of offshoots of energy coming out of the physical body are making up that auric field. They're making up that energy bubble around us. And so while it is an overly simplistic depiction that we see here on the screen, it gives us a good example or an idea of the ways in which energy is going to be flowing in and out. You're going to notice on the funnel picture there, sort of in the middle, all those arrows are pointing in. Honestly, they will go both directions. I think that's just an artist's depiction of their understanding of the chakra flow. But just to let you guys know, and I think you can see my little pointer, this week we're going to be down here. This is week 1. This is your root chakra. Now, to be honest with you, I think the root chakra actually opens front and back, but it also has an energy that moves downward, down to what? Look at these little guys all the way down here, and they're easier to see over here. This is just sort of a depiction of the Earth Star chakra. We're going to be talking much more specifically about those, but it's important to begin to understand, even if it's in a very strange, kind of vague, generalistic visual description, that some of the energy centers we're going to be working with over the next 7 weeks are actually, technically, outside of your body. And what we're going to also find in 2021, and it's been going on for actually many years now, is that there's a whole other additional, separate, and also kind of symbiotic set of chakras that are going to be developing and activating outside of the body. Now, in the artwork that we see here, it's not very well depicted. This is just something that I grabbed off of Google Image, but I want to bring your guys' attention. Hopefully you can see my mouse pointer over here. And you notice that we see these little guys called the causal and portal chakras. These are also very important things. We're just seeding your consciousness with an understanding that there are chakras and energy centers that are going to be activating and spinning and operating outside of the physical container. And so we're going to be talking about that later. But let's grab one more image. I'm going to move my little window. This guy's blocked for me. I'm going to look over on the right over here. And you can see once again, you guys, before we move on, notice this image over on the right. This is just another artist depiction, and what it kind of does is give us a good example of when we talk about the physical placement of the chakras. You're going to hear, researchers and authors talk about how, well, the chakras actually originate within nerve plexuses in the spinal column or physical root areas in the actual body. And so some people subscribe to this understanding. Some people don't. I can tell you that from a generalistic perspective, I do agree. I don't know that I agree from my own point of view exactly where it is claimed that the chakras will originate within the nerve structure of the body, but on the right-hand side of the screen, it gives us a good example. Just kind of a general image of what that could look like. And we can see the spinal column there. And it is widely understood, even if you don't buy into the direct physical anatomical connections to non-physical structures, many people do believe that the root chakra originates from the sacrococcygeal plexus all the way down here at the bottom near your tailbone, and a little bundle of nerves that will also extend downward into the perineum, right down in your bottom, right in the center. And just like the sacral chakra begins to move upward, we notice the solar plexus chakra. And most of the time, you'll see these colors are very general. You guys are going to notice, for those of you guys that work with chakras already, and also for those of you guys that are new, is there are very generalistic color assignments, wavelengths, or kind of perceptual colors that we'll see inside our body that, for many of us, are indicative of what we would call the frequencies within chakras. I have to be honest with you. Not everyone's going to perceive colors when you begin to work with these layers of the body. Some of you guys are going to receive a whole strange mix-up of senses in your body, and part of the great mystery here is figuring out, what your prevalent psychic or internal senses are. And so don't worry if the color system doesn't make sense to you. Don't worry if at this stage you're like, well, I see these little cones and these little things shooting out of the body, and I think, sure, they mean something. They have something to do with this or that. But even if you don't know right now, don't worry. A lot of you guys are going to have a lot more knowledge. But if you're just getting here for the first time, the mission is that we are understanding or getting a visual depiction of the manner in which non-physical energy centers could exist, could be planted, could emit, what they're shaped like, how they flow. We're just getting very simplistic visual depictions of that energy. And so once again, I'll say it before we go to the next slide. Feel free to put any questions in there. Anything at all about the structure or alignment. My little camera thing just went away. We always get interesting little glitches. There it is. I see it. It came back. And we have our comment window open. So we're going to go ahead and go to the next slide here. Absolutely. Thank you, Carrie McCrillo says, I see more white light at the crown. Absolutely. Let me be straight up. I'm actually really glad that you said that, Carrie McCrillo. I have been one of those people that perceives the crown chakra very much like a white light or a pinkish light. Other people are going to have their own color assignment. And so thank you for mentioning that. Absolutely. Many people do experience more of an indigo color in their third eye. These are just kind of generalistic color assignments here, and so everyone's going to get it in their own way. Thank you. And so let's get specific, though. We're going to move down in the body, and we're going to start talking specifically about the root chakra. What is it? How does it work? Why do we want to clear it? What are we going to be doing with it this week? Let's figure it out. And so some of you guys are going to start tuning in down there near your tailbone. You're going to get a little bit of a pulsation. Sometimes you'll get a stirring sensation or a little bit of a pulse or a heartbeat down in your bottom, right down there in the perineum, in the middle. Those are places where we tend to feel, we'll sort of physically feel the energy begin to gather or activate, even as we just start talking about the root chakra. And so the root chakra, known as Muladhara in Sanskrit, the Muladhara serves as the structural base of our energetic anatomy and is often a storage ground for a tremendous amount of the programming we receive in early childhood. on both positive and negative levels. A lot of the transactional things that we pick up when we are children, the pre-age 6 programming, those moments as children where like so-and-so says this, therefore I feel that, that sort of transactional nature that we pick up and is programmed into us very, very early on by our parents, by those older than us. And for those of you guys that are familiar with modern psychology and developmental consciousness, the root chakra often compares with the basic need for safety and survival. At the base of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for those of you guys that remember Psychology 101, they talked about the hierarchy of needs, as well as the first 2 levels of the psychosocial development proposed by Erik Erikson, called trust versus mistrust and autonomy versus shame and doubt. In my own previous life, I spent a lot of time within that industry, or that, the sort of mental health treatment realms. And so it's really easy for me to kind of equate some of the psycho-spiritual qualities of root chakra stuff into early childhood programming, and the level to which we get very transactionally programmed early on. And we're taught about loss, we're taught about abundance. Certain things that we don't get to choose are literally programmed into us. And so as we continue to acclimate to 4th density energy, we will begin to experience what I call an uprising and release. Sometimes people call it like a gassing out. Things will sort of release from the depths of a structure or an organism or a thing, or, whatever you want to call it. But for many of us, during the life cycle, we begin to experience an uprising and release of the stagnated or outdated programming in the root chakra. It can happen at any age. For some of us, it's younger. Some of it's later. For a lot of us, I'm just going to say in general, in the human body, it tends to take place after age 40 or around age 40, and there's somewhat of a very subtle template shift that will begin to take place in the body that actually for some of us is not so subtle. It'll lead us into whole new stages of our life, and others it'll sort of create a lot of chaos. But for many of us, one of the things we're going to understand in the future is that it's very much of a timed release of outdated stagnancy in the body. And so for many of us, this can lead to great upsets at any stage of life. And when we have effectively shut down or limited this energy in our body, we get stuck. We literally get trapped in stages of identity. We get trapped in stages of victim mentality. We get trapped in this weird cycle of lack programming of ideas around money and, how we spend it or how we accumulate it or how we receive it, especially our ability to receive. And I think if there's one kind of way that we can begin to understand the restructuring of the root chakra that we're going to be doing today, and also as a result of the detoxing and the reconditioning of energy centers over the coming few weeks, is that what we're going to be doing is hopefully changing our ability to receive, or revising, updating it. Because what we find as we go into this thing called 4th density, every energy center, every organ, every channel on the body begins to shift as well. For those of you guys that are familiar with the ascension process, every element of our consciousness and our body and our world will also go through a similar shift. And so what happens in the energy centers is they will begin to operate with different feelings, different frequencies, different emotions, different experiences. And so one of the ways we can continue to really consciously tune the root chakra is by learning how to truly receive energy. Not everyone here gets taught that early on, especially when we got a lot of negative programming pre-age 6 when that root chakra is being formed. And so in order to correct the spin and alignment of the conscious energy being created and transmitted from the root chakra, we need to come to terms with the programming and the limitations, especially the limitations. Those ideas that say, I'm not good enough for that. We're not the kind of people that get to have those things. We don't get to do that. Other people do, but we don't. Or whatever the way that will manifest in your body. One of the ways that we begin finding we really restructure root chakra is it's also in the thought forms, in the understandings of what is safe and what we're able to have to accumulate, or what we need, and all those concepts in the body. And so for many of us, pre-age 6 early childhood programming is one of the greatest obstacles to clearing the root chakra. And so Energy that passes through the root chakra connects with many elements of internal energy, but most importantly, it passes upward through the nadial complex, which we're going to be talking about next week. Don't worry if you've never heard of the nadial complex before. Not that many people have. It's the chakra's circulatory system, but it works through 3 important channels, known as the Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna, that effectively supply and root conscious energy throughout our subtle anatomy. For some of you guys that are a bit more familiar with energetic anatomy, you will also know the Sushumna as the governing vessel, also known as the central channels. And so you're going to find that energy anatomy is kind of representative through a number of different cultural understandings and energy systems in the body. And so anyway, before I get off track, we're going to be working with that next week. The tone, emotion, wavelength, and integrity of the conscious energy transmitted upward through the body by the root chakra is critical for maintaining balance in our 3rd density physical bodies and activating the higher levels of multidimensional connectivity through the manner in which we create, receive, transmit this foundational energy upward. That was a little bit of a jumbled up phrase there. But what we're saying is that this energy center is responsible for so much more of what happens above it. If this is able to be conditioned and opened and tuned, everything else after it will begin to flow and operate a little bit differently. It's almost like with the root chakra, we have to give ourselves permission for that. And so please insert any questions in the chat there. Thank you, Charlene. She says, during a Qigong practice, I experienced a release of shame and unworthiness that was tied to a former life, 100%. That's an interesting phrase. What you guys are even going to find, for those of you guys that are starting to understand and receive past life experiences or release emotional, frequencies from previous lives, people have talked about how some of that data is literally stored in your root chakra. Will literally be stored there. And when we begin to open up or sort of stretch open the non-physical areas on the body in which that data will hide, it begins to literally release. It starts to pop out, and you'll release long-standing, years-long issues of your life as well. It is 100% possible. So thanks for mentioning that, Charlene. Let's keep going. We are going to take a break in a little while, and this is one thing that we do in these classes. I know because we had a bit more time at the start with the Qigong routine. I do want to let you guys know, if you guys feel like you're ready for the break, let me know. Just to let everyone know the flow, we're going to be talking about the root chakra a little bit more. Then we're going to be talking about the Earth Star chakra, and then we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and do a group energy clearing. So just letting you know what's happening here. Let's get back to the root chakra. And so let's talk about characteristics of the root chakra. They can vary greatly, very greatly, depending on the school of thought, cultural background, what blogs or sort of, who you read or who you follow on social media. Yes, I say that kind of humorously, but based on who you follow and what you subscribe to, you might even have a very different worldview or just an idea of what's going on within the non-physical body. But from a general perspective, let's take a look at some of the more basic and accepted characteristics. First off, what you guys are going to find, if you don't already know, some of you guys will already know this, but there is an accepted color range for a lot of the chakras. Red is primarily understood to be the sort of the color of the root chakra. And so there's also an associated root sound, and all sorts of, cultural understandings of spirituality. They use toning, they use, phrases, they use mantras, and it's very commonly understood that the primary root sound for the primary root sound for the root chakra is lam, or another version of it, lang. Notice I kind of stress the ng at the end of that. What we find is when we really start looking at, energy flow in the body, the consonant sound at the end of that root word will actually create a difference in how the energy is received. And so today, in our energy clearing, we're going to be using lung. Lung. And so it's going to help us begin to stretch and open up the root chakra. So let's talk about anatomy. There is a relationship with the adrenal glands. I believe that to be correct, but I am not one of those people that assigns necessarily chakras to specific layers of anatomy. In my opinion, I believe when we talk about specificity with anatomy, the meridians are going to be way more organ specific than the chakras. Within the chakra layers, we find many more existential, emotional, and sort of, life cycle related behavioral and emotional kind of past issues. Experiential things will be much more tied up in the chakras. And so I think there's a much greater immediacy toward treating just actual physical anatomy by working with the meridians, but we do find there is a direct relationship with the chakras in certain pieces of anatomy. And so lots of people believe that the root chakra is actually much more closely linked with the adrenal glands and body parts, feet, legs, knees, the lower quadrants of the body, the area down there that builds the structure. And so the root chakra rules our physical energy and drives towards self-preservation. Psychologically, the root chakra also governs our feelings and beliefs related to security, safety, and abundance in all forms. Most importantly, like I said earlier, our ability to receive. One of the ways in which you will understand blocked root chakras in certain people, I will say this for me because this was a big one for many years, is I couldn't receive anything from people. I just couldn't take it, good or bad. I would not allow myself to receive it. And so a lot of people will have that, and we cut ourselves off from a lot of experiences, relationships, all sorts of things. It's one of the other ways in which the root chakra will manifest. And so it is also believed that what they call the cities or psychic senses, and part of what we're here to do, I'm just going to say it, one of the byproducts of truly tuning and opening up and, releasing stagnant energy from the chakras and the non-physical energy system is that we will literally begin to activate psychic senses. These are not special gifts that are given to special people on the planet. Absolutely not. These are standard awarenesses and senses that will exist within each and every human being. It's up to us the level to which we begin to tune or enhance or begin to bring out those abilities, but it is believed that the siddhi or the psychic sense that some people experience upon activating and balancing the conscious energy of the root chakra is called clairalience, the ability to receive and discern psychic energy through our sense of smell. In my opinion, I'm going to be honest with you, I think it's kind of debatable. Some people will experience an activation of clairalience upon opening the root chakra, but I think it's going to be a little bit different for each of us. What I will say is that it is absolutely possible, but I think it is much more likely that upon opening the root chakra, we will begin to literally give ourselves permission to start experiencing these changes. There's a very interesting gatekeeper or permission, sort of like this sort of monitor and this sort of, in some cases a barrier to experiences or receiving or activation that takes place in the root chakra. And so whether it's clairalience, psychic smell, or what I think the most common one that kicks on first, claircognizance. It's where you just know. In my opinion and experience, that's the first one that activates for a lot of us. But clairalience is absolutely possible. And so before we move on here, let's talk about some other maladies, diseases of the root chakra, or things that could indicate a long-term or chronic blockage within the root chakra. Chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, eating disorders of all kinds, obesity, hemorrhoids, constipation, sciatica, loss of mobility due to stagnancy. We start to become stiff and slow and swollen. That happens with the root chakra. There's also many other things that cause those as well, but what we're doing is just giving you an example. And so individuals with balanced root chakra energy are able to meet their needs with ease and grace. They're often seen as abundant and secure in their sense of self. They don't get swayed real easily by people. They know what they can handle. They know what they can maintain. They know what they can hold on to. They know what they can receive, and they seem much more solid. They seem much more planted. People with really strong root chakra energy are like pillars. When things go crazy, they're just like, it's cool. There's more of a solidity. And so it also shows up in a number of other ways. And so when we talk about grounding, I think that's a really good thing to talk about, because we are essentially, for most of us, talking about the balancing and the seating and sort of the opening of the root chakra in a way that is appropriate to allow the pressurization in the body to release. That's very much what we're talking about when we're saying you're grounded. Your root chakra is open and planted, sort of like, all four, legs of a table are even. It doesn't wobble back and forth. Everything is solid. And so Behaviorally, root chakra deficiency shows up as disconnected, ungrounded energy in others, easily swayed, easily uprooted, very little self-sovereignty, lots of fear of lack, fear of not having enough. There's a very subtle behavior type that shows up with people with root chakra deficiency or root chakra blockage. They get really check this out, you guys. They get really weird about standing in lines. It's like there's this urgency and I have to be next. There's this thing that happens with root chakra blockage. And for those of you guys that are familiar with meridians, it's also a urinary bladder meridian thing as well. But it can get pretty weird, and people can begin to become hoarders. They can become hypervigilant. They can become inconsistent, and sort of starting to have a very difficult time following through or showing up. They begin to self-sabotage. It gets very, very weird with root chakra stuff, and most of the time it sort of goes back to age 6 programming. That's how I think a lot of us here are going to understand some of the base elements of the root chakra. Think back to your age 6 programming, what you were taught, what you were able to receive, the manner in which you were sort of programmed to receive energy, whether it be, any kind of energy. And so it's going to give us a good example of how our root chakra was programmed. And so I don't know about you guys, my root chakra was programmed for lack early on. You do not have enough, you will not be enough. Not, outwardly, but that was the understanding. We are taught early on that there's not enough and there never will be, and there's this sort of lifetime of sort of, compensation that we'll go through. And that's just one of many minor ways in which we experience root chakra blockage, but there's all sorts of them, all sorts. Let me know if you have any questions as we move on. This is one of my favorite ones. And while everyone knows about the root chakra, not everyone knows about the Earth Star chakra. And to be really honest with you, for those of you guys that subscribe as star seeds or, wanderers, people that have come to an internalized understanding that, maybe I'm not actually from Earth, not to say that we weren't born here, but we will incarnate in many different worlds and many different stages. And so the Earth Star chakra, I think, it's probably one of the most important for people to become aware of, especially if we have this understanding of any layer of multidimensionality in the process of reincarnation. And this Earth Star chakra, to put it simply, you can think of it like your timeline plug-in point. The place in which your physical Earth body plugs in to the non-physical Earth grid. You could think of it kind of like where you plug in your phone, down on the bottom of your phone. Just a little plug-in down there. That's it's a strange metaphor, but it's very much like the Earth Star chakra. To be more specific, the Earth Star chakra is a connection point between our subtle energy bodies and what we might call the organic Earth grid of non-physical, multidimensional energy flowing within our planet. As the human body continues to expand in energetic bandwidth, you can think of this like a charging port for the non-physical energy centers that connect us with this physical realm. From another perspective, you can visualize this point as the place where a needle touches the record. The resulting vibration creates a song that echoes through the spaces in our energetic container and seems to create kind of like a frequency signature that will begin to attract a similar wavelength from other sources. In most cases, this becomes the most prevalent emotion, energy, or thought form constantly cycling through the body. So the Earth Star is of critical importance at this stage of the ascension process because it is one of the most active connection points for what we might call our physical timeline energy. As the human body expands, it begins to use and draw in more energy from the Earth Star for use in integrating activations, expansion of consciousness, etc., etc., etc. And so for those of you guys trying to understand, where's the Earth Star chakra? We're going to see it on the next slide, but you can start thinking of it now. It is underneath your feet. There is an actual connection point at the bottom of your feet, which we're going to work with today. It's our first venture into the in between the meridian body and the chakra body. We are going to be doing some meridian work later, but it's important to understand that for most of us, this Earth Star chakra is actually outside of the body. It's underneath us. It's very much like where we plug in our phone. And so for a lot of us right now, we are very disconnected there. We don't feel a part of a tribe or part of a group. We're seeing the upheaval and the craziness in the world, and we feel very unconnected. We feel disconnected with what we would call the sort of old earth. You know, we don't know really, you know, who to align with or where to go. And we're watching the ways in which things are changing. And if you're feeling that disconnection within yourself, one of the places on the human body where that disconnection can take place is the Earth Star chakra. And I'll just say it. It's why some of us feel like we're not even from here. It's like, am I even a part of this world anymore? That's one of the sort of what we would call the psycho-spiritual qualities of the Earth Star chakra. But anyway, let's get back to this stuff. If the source of incoming energy through the Earth Star is tainted or polluted by non-organic or parasitic energy of any kind, it can then circulate that energy upward through the remaining energy centers, causing each center to be affected by the absorbed frequency. And one of the ways you guys can imagine this is very much like when you put cream in coffee and you watch how it cascades and flows and, like, you know, moves downward through the liquid. It's very much like that with the Earth Star chakra, and it has a lot to do with what we're plugged into. What our understanding of reality is literally what we are plugging into. And so it's a very interesting energy center that has an incredible impact on our entire well-being, but not everyone is consciously aware of this plug-in point underneath the feet. And so the Earth Star chakra plays a special role in grounding and releasing unused or excess energy in the body. One current theory is that this is one of the primary receiving points in the physical body for the energy being measured by what we know as the Schumann resonance. As chakras activate and emotional energy moves upward through the body, the Earth Star helps to release and balance the intensity of that energy flow by sending excess energy back down through the feet into the earth grid. You guys, very similar to how solar panels, you know, if you have solar panels on your house, at a certain stage, you start feeding the grid. You start sending energy back out. For those that are actively using and planted within the Earth Star energy center in the body, we are also literally affecting reality, because as that energy center activates, it is now sending that energy back into the grid. And so it will be used for other purposes. It will be harmonizing and affecting your physical area, your home, wherever you are. At a certain stage, the Earth Star chakra begins to become a very, very powerful transmitter, but it's a transmitter that, if there was an area for it, it's coming from underneath us, from the earth and our conscious connection. It's like we sink in with it. And so, yeah, very, very highly interesting structure in the body. Your timeline plug-in point. And thank you, Heather Chipperfield. She says, last night I did an Earth Star chakra thing for the first time. Boom. Very interesting. I told you guys there's no more mistakes at this stage of the journey. You guys are going to see in 2021 how these strange synchronicities, they just keep happening. Feel free if you guys have any other questions. I know we've been going at this for a while. I want to let you know that after this slide right here, we are going to take a break. So in the meantime, let me know if you guys have questions. We're going to talk a little bit more about this crazy Earth Star chakra. And so, where is it? Where does it actually go? How does this crazy thing work? Usually situated a few inches below our feet. The Earth Star chakra is one of the most important secondary chakras. Some people call it, external chakras, tertiary chakras. You're going to hear a lot of terms like that. It's part of the additional framework of energy that exists outside of the body. And so it's very active in the human population at this stage. And due to changes in frequency and even function, since 2011 and 2012. Notice the first time we ever put any actual static dates on the screen. I'm not one of those people that's like, on this year, at this time, this thing happened. But we have noticed a large section of the Earth population went through a very serious and particular wave of activations and understandings and epiphanies and changes. Yes, right around 2012. Some of us had it before, some of us had after, but a large section of the population had a huge internal event around 2012. And so what happened is, at that stage of the journey for a lot of us, is the energy body began to operate on a little bit of a different level, and we started to open up what we call the lower octaves of fourth density, in which It's like new frequencies, new channels. We could say new channels, new radio stations become available. And so we've been going through that multi-year integration process ever since. One of the things that's been integrating and activating is the Earth Star Chakra. And so the associated color for the Earth Star Chakra, some people say it's olive green. If you start researching this thing, people are going to say it's olive green. It's like the color of the earth or something. Some people say it's a rainbow. First time I ever perceived the Earth Star Chakra, it was perceived by me, maybe not anyone else, but I perceived it as a black and red swirl underneath me, kind of like a target. And I have chosen to use that depiction or that image of it. You'll see it there on the screen. It does appear very much to me time and time again as like a coiled spring that exists underneath the body. It's not necessarily tightened, although it can be, but what it is a circular coiled spring of energy. And some of you guys are going to perceive it as such. Others are going to perceive it entirely differently. And I really want to make room for that. It's more about understanding that you have an energy center underneath your feet that connect you to what we would call the earth grid, or the organic true energy that is feeding our energy body. It can also be straight up, it can be connected to something else. There's a large swath of the population right now who have had their consciousness plugged into a very difficult and traumatic transhumanist timeline in which they're going to be receiving all kinds of changes and forced treatments and control structures over the next few years. And what happens with the Earth Star Chakra is it's one of the pieces of anatomy on the body that helps us to switch or alter or mitigate or change that frequency that we're tuning into. And so it's an incredibly fascinating multipolar, multi-flow energy center in the body. And so in this course, we're going to be using a special capsule phrase. And so for some of you guys this is the first time you're here, it's the first time you've heard of capsule phrases. Other people call them mantras. But what we do in this course, and especially in the School of Multidimensional Intuition, is that we use capsule phrases. They are ancient sounds that the body creates that are basically like a capsule. You can put an intention, you can put a frequency, you can put a thought, you can put an emotion, you can put an organ. All sorts of frequencies can be contained within these words. But what we're using is specific frequencies that allow us to reach areas of the non-physical body. It's kind of like the next iteration or the next version of a lot of the mantras that we've been using, but we're doing this in a much more simplistic and basic way that allows for a multi-purpose transmission. And so for some of you guys, it's going to be very complex, but I'm going to show you the first capsule phrase. We're going to be using this in our energy clearing here today. I'm going to create the sound, and I want you guys to just allow yourself to receive it in any way you can. For some of you guys, it's going to be like, huh? That's weird. For others, you're going to even hear it, and you're going to know this vibration. For other people from other classes, you can even do it with me if you want. There's some other people here in the room who they're like pros at using these phrases now. But what we're doing is we're opening up a vibratory gateway in the body that allows us to send and receive energy differently. And so this is the wavelength of the Earth Star Chakra activation. Here we go. Maruva. And so we're going to be using that phrase, that vibration, to open up the Earth Star Chakra and allowing us to start sending and receiving multi-dimensional energy a little bit differently. That's why we start out this course with the Earth Star and the Root Chakra, because they create this opening that allows us to use energy differently. And like we heard with the Root Chakra, it's almost like in certain stages we have to give ourselves permission to start going through that process. And so that's what we're doing here today. We're firmly plugging in to that new earth grid. We're opening up that plug-in point in the body, and we're starting to move the energy upward. And so it also connects to a very important piece of anatomy. I know we're going on and on, but this is something you guys need to know about, because there are places on the body in which the non-physical energy systems will intersect and they will join. They will feed off each other in symbiotic relationships and connect in marvelous ways. And One of the first places we find that is right down at the bottom of the feet in your kidney meridian, all the way down there. And I'm going to tell you where it is, you guys, if you want to know where that is. Generally speaking, for those of you guys that can reach down to your feet right now, what I'd like you to do is draw a line from your second toe and sort of bring it all the way down right into the arch of your foot. If you want to get technical, right where the arch starts, right where it begins. Draw a line from your second toe right past the ball of the foot, and you feel that arch in there, and start pressing your thumb around in there, and you're going to find it, I almost guarantee it, find a little bit of tenderness, one little point where you get a little bit of pressure or a little teeny bit of pain every now and then. For a lot of us, that's the beginning of the kidney meridian. And one of the places where the chakra system and the meridian system join together. And so we're going to be working with that kidney meridian here today as well. And it has a lot to do with how the body ages, how we use our vital energy, how we understand things like anxiety and intensity and anger in the body, how that's used, how it's transmitted, and really, really, really the level to which we are able to use energy properly as we age. As we age, it has a tremendous impact on that. You can imagine sometimes it's like a hose that gets kinked underneath us, and if we don't know the hose is kinked, we don't know that there's so much more flow that we could be experiencing. Kidney meridian is very important for that. And so let's keep going. The Earth Star Chakra rules our connection with the non-physical earth grid beneath our feet, like we just said, that supplies our energy body with the organic energy from the earthly realm. The quality of this energy is dependent on the frequency being emitted from the environment, from the planet, from all the life around us. Everything around us is also affecting that Earth Star connectivity. And so let's keep going. I see your questions there. As we progress further into fourth density, like I said earlier, the Earth Star begins to take on a new role as both a receiver and a transmitter for Earth-based energy, and also the primary plug-in point, like we know, for our own internalized timeline frequency. To put it simply, when this chakra activates, we begin transmitting the frequency of our chosen reality. If we do not consciously choose a frequency channel or timeline, we will often absorb the most prevalent frequency being transmitted into the body from the environment, from social media, from television, from our loved ones, from our phones, from our devices. They're telling you what to believe. They're telling you what version of reality to accept. They've already said it. You guys have all heard it. The new normal. When we hear phrases like this, when they're broadcasted into our bodies over and over and over again, you will forever know from this point forward, one of the places in which that vibration is entraining a reaction is in the Earth Star Chakra. And so the reason why is because outside of the human body, it's obvious that that center is also feeding reality. And so if you can be trained to subscribe to a worldview or a version of reality that is deeply internalized inside your body, there's an energy center underneath your feet that's literally assisting you in making that a reality. And when enough people are in vibration with that, they're all going to be on the same page in the same environment, experiencing the same things. And it can be a very frightening thing, and it can also be a very beautiful thing. It's really up to us to decide what frequency we are sending out through that Earth Star Chakra. And so, healthy Earth Star energy is critical for those who identify as star seeds, wanderers, or those of non-earthly origin, due to a possible genetic predisposition to come into the body with certain chakras, like the Earth Star Chakra, will come in, and it's almost like that cord's not connected. It's just not connected. And at a certain stage in the life, we have to actually go, oh, what's this? Oh, I'm choosing to connect it into that idea, that outcome, that timeline, that movement. And so for some of us that are not native to Earth, meaning that we don't always do a lifetime here, we come in here and, we will need to reconnect or work with that area of the body. And so positive or balanced characteristics of the Earth Star Chakra include a feeling of belonging in one's environment, feeling connected, feeling supported, feeling a part of. Even though you might not be with or around anyone, you feel like you are in your realm. You are there. Healthy and warm, glowing skin. That's also a big one of them. People have this sort of vital youthfulness that will be just emitting from the body. It doesn't matter if they're old or young. And so there's a lot of ways in which this will show up. Some of you guys are also familiar with this term. It's called a strong internal locus of control. Once again, going back to old school psychobabble, but it's basically the level to which we believe we are in control of our destiny. Does the world rule you, or are you affecting the world? You know what I mean? It's that sort of idea. People with a strong internal locus of control understand that they are in control of their own ship, their own craft, their own vessel. And so when the Earth Star chakra is well formed and plugged in and, working in proper manner, we feel in control. We feel a part of, we feel present in this realm. Just like with the negative characteristics of the Earth Star, we feel dissociative disorders, autoimmune issues, physical wasting, inability to absorb energy, advanced or rapid aging. Yes, kidney disease, kidney withering, where we begin to very rapidly. Some of you guys don't see your friends for a couple of years, and they show up a year or so later, and it looks like they've aged 10 years. Maybe they're the same age as you, but you'll see how they begin to shift. And for some of us, it's also kidney energy. You guys can tell at a certain point I start kind of frothing at the mouth here and spitting on myself. So thank you. A little bit embarrassing, but let's keep going, guys. And so let me know if you have any questions about the Earth Star chakra, about the root chakra. We've been going on and on, you guys. For those of you guys that are here, our classes tend to go on for a little bit, but we are going to take a break. Justine has a question here before we pause. She says, I see it as an orange-red lava with white light, and it's spiraling into feet from the core of the earth. Absolutely. I would say trust your own perception of that. You may feel this red energy very related to the root chakra. You might feel something else entirely, just because Matthew in this class says, well, guys, the Earth Star chakra is this spiral, and it's very much like a coiled spring. It may be. That may also be the manner in which it needed to be perceived by me so that we can accurately work with that energy. That's why one of the things we do in this, this educational program is we allow people to have their own individualized experience and understanding. Some of you guys are going to not vibe with my description of the Earth Star chakra at all. If you take anything from it, understand that it's there, it's relevant, and it is one of the anatomical regions in which we are connecting with the physical timeline, the non-physical timeline, and our placement in this earth realm. And so, with that, we're going to take a break. For those of you guys that have been here before, you'll know we take about a 7 or so minute break. We just give ourselves some time to, go to the bathroom, walk around, and stretch. We've been here for quite some time, so I'm just going to say it. We're going to take an 8-minute break. I'd like everyone to walk around, stretch, go to the bathroom. And what's going to happen when we come back? I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. When we come back in here, you can see it on the screen. We're going to talk about the modality that we're going to be using over the next 7 weeks. A lot of you guys that have been in these classes, this slide. You're going to be like, oh, we're doing that one again. Yes, we are. Very important steps from a person like me who hates steps. I hate instructions, and yet we have a set of instructions on how to create a multidimensional frequency in your body, which we're going to get to in 8 minutes. So what I would like you guys to do, I'm going to set a timer. Please put any questions in the chat, even if they're not about stuff we're talking about. It's okay. There are no dumb questions whatsoever. And I'm going to set a timer, and next time you see me, it's going to be in 8 minutes. So let's all take a break, everybody. We'll be back. So we've been covering a lot of information here today. There it goes. There's my little camera screen. Zoom gets so strange and weird for me, you guys. Whenever we do a class, it's like all my little buttons go away, and then I have to kind of go back like hunting for everything. It's such a strange practice. Thank you, Carissa Hatters. I'm glad you enjoyed the Qigong video. We're going to be doing a different one next week. Each week, we're going to be using primarily the same postures and the same movements, but the difference is that each week we're going to be doing a little bit of a different area. I will say next week we're going to be working with the sacral chakra and a sentient frequency known as the blue flame. And so that's a whole different process, but we're going to be doing a little bit more sacral chakra specific stuff next week. But in the meantime, I want to let you guys know that I'm also going to be sending that over with the slides from today's class. So you guys are going to get the unlisted YouTube link. If you decide you just want to go and just do that routine that we did today, because it was pre-recorded, it's actually up on YouTube right now, but it's unlisted. So as long as you have the link, you can check it out. But yeah, let's just keep rolling. And so the primary, what I would call the tool what some will call, the broadcasting modality through which we send and receive a lot of the energy that we use in these courses. And essentially what I would call the manner by which I send energy in a lot of the private sessions that I do is through this process of toning, through using actual vibrations, a sound created by the body that then helps us entrain and sort of literally broadcast a non-physical frequency outward. I would say one of the easiest ways, and this is always kind of a strange metaphor to give people, but one of the easiest ways for everyone to understand the power of sound, or in a pre-created, capsulized, or even a spontaneous tone or a moment. Think of the ways in which you still get a feeling when you hear songs from when you were a kid, or stages of your life, or moments in which, there's always this feeling. Every time I hear that song, I'm like reminded of this, or I like remember that, or I get this smell or this feeling. It is very much with multidimensional energy, and that's one of the easiest ways to understand the effect and the last and the resonance that it has. And so when we're able to kind of, distill and extrapolate and repurpose some of that vibrational energy in the body, we begin a process known as scalar toning. And I want to say there's many other people on the earth that are practicing this right now. It's not always called scalar toning. This is not something that I own. It's not some modality that I, consciously, formed. This is something that I think has been present on the earth plane for thousands, maybe millions of years, however long you want to subscribe to. And I believe that this process of creating a conscious vibration in the body, for those of us that are here in this class, I believe that this is a tool that we used in what we would call past lives. And to get technical, there are no real past lives. It's all literally now, even though we perceive it as past. But it is my belief and direct, understanding that in past civilizations, in past lives, in other times, the members of this very group present here today gathered together to create these vibrations, to shift the planet, to shift our human body. And many of us begin to use it and learn it and transmit it in just a myriad of different ways. And so the reason why I like to start by saying that is because some of you guys are going to read these, this here list and these directions on how to create this vibration in your body. And this is where it gets weird. You are going to instantly realize that you don't actually need any of these steps, and that you don't actually even need to make a sound. If you want to get super technical, we don't even have to do the sound vibration. But what happens is, here in this physical body, we have these processes that are kind of like training wheels. They are vibratory stages in which we begin to engage in sort of a repetitious behavioral thing. And it's a long-term process of entrainment, of teaching the physical body to vibrate in a different way. And so one of the easiest ways we have to use and send and create that energy right now is through the voice. And so anyway, let's get back to the content here. The practice of scalar toning is essentially the process by which we create and transmit a sustained frequency of higher dimensional energy for the purpose of healing and expansion of consciousness. One of the easiest methods of sending this energy is by creating an audible tone with our body that we then broadcast into ourselves or another, by visualizing the transmission of this wavelength like an energy that passes between two poles from point A to point B. And so let's go through a little bit of a simplified protocol and see how this process works from a practical perspective. We also are going to create a sound here in a few moments. We're all going to do it together. Don't worry, it's not going to be on the recording. In the past, when we would do these classes, I would turn everybody on and everyone hears this crazy explosion of sound. And it's actually kind of chaotic when 20 people are all doing it at the same time, especially on the first one. So we're not going to do that, but I'd like you to find it in your own way. And what you may find is that you're going to have a little bit of a different experience creating this vibration in your body than if you just went ooh, or you just created a sound. You're going to notice just an entire shift. And so let's talk about how do we do this. First off, a lot of you guys know this already, but whenever we're starting to do energy work, we're getting to send or receive, whatever it is, we like to create a sacred space. We center our energy. We begin the process of acknowledging and connecting with the higher self. In whatever way that you do that, it's going to be up to you, but we simply acknowledge our desire and our request for healing. We also acknowledge our ability. It's a very simple beginning point. Create a sacred space. Number 2, we begin a very deep cyclical breathing process. I'm going to describe it here for you guys right now. For those of you guys that have been in other classes and have worked with me privately, you're going to be experts at this. The reality is we're all experts at breathing, but this is a very particular type of breathing. And so what we're going to be doing is very consciously inflating your lower belly, like there's a balloon down there, and you're just very gently and fully, and also a bit exaggeratedly, you're really puffing yourself up very slowly and completely. And as you exhale, really squeeze that balloon slow on the exhale. You're priming that pump inside your body. And so we begin that process of breathing. And you notice from the beginning how your physiology and your mood, your internal world shifts. It makes us easier to begin to find and focus on your intention. What is it that we are working on? Is it a feeling? Is it an emotion? Is it a person? Is it an outcome? Is it a situation in the world? Is whatever it is, we simply focus on the intention. And so I'm going to say it for the record. We're going to do a tone here, and I'm just going to, you guys get to create your own intention, but my intention for the group is that we experience a great expansion and a release of energy from the root and the Earth Star chakra. And so we set our intention, and then we call in the childhood self. I'm going to be honest with you guys. This is nearly the most important step of the whole thing. If there is ever a step, if there is ever a requirement, and that's always a very delicately used term, if there is ever a requirement or a strong recommendation that's really going to help us learn to send and receive energy, it is to truly welcome your childhood self, your childhood imagination, the version of you that still exists inside a world of magic like a cartoon movie. Just honor and welcome that version of you that's still willing to be in there in that internal realm and watch, force lightning coming out of your hands, or to wave a magic wand and, watch true magic in your internal realm like we did when we were children. That's the version of us. If there is anything that we need to really send and receive this energy, it is that version of you, however old you are. And thank you, Caroline Lloyd. Thank you for saying that. This is beautiful. This is part of the healing process. And I'm going to tell you, Caroline, I feel it as well. When I truly tap into that energy and that child, within me, you will feel emotions. You'll feel energy. You'll feel your tears start and rising within you. And that's a beautiful thing. If you're here in this group and you're feeling it now, please welcome that version of you. Honor them. They've been contained. They've been suppressed. They've been taught that it was fake and that they're not real, and they've been abused, and we need to begin welcoming that version of ourselves, because what we find is when we begin to move into fourth density, that internal space, that childhood imagination within you, that is the most fertile ground for the creation of multidimensional energy. It is a literal creationary realm that is often sacrificed, it's beaten down, it's totally limited within us. But when we begin to exist outside of the physical body, that is the place where we begin in the realm of imagination. And so, not to go on too long with that, but if you feel those emotions, allow them. That's a truly beautiful thing. That's also, for a lot of us, how we begin to understand the presence of spirit. When our guides roll in the door and everyone gathers around and they're like, okay, here we go. We're going to feel it. We're going to do it. And invariably, a lot of us, we have that moment where we're like, you just feel, you feel that energy and you're like, yes, okay, something's happening. And so good job. If you're there, you're in the right place. And so anyway, getting back to it, we really allow ourselves to believe. We feel what we're going to do. We sit firmly in that realm of imagination. We take a deep breath in, and I'm going to have you guys follow this with me. We're about to create a sound. We take a deep breath in, and we simply allow a tone to come out. A sound emits from the body. It's not a song. It's not an arpeggio. It's not a performance that we ever do. It is a simple vibration that the body creates. For some of us, it will be a hum. For some of us, it'll be a true tone. For some of us, it'll be a mixture, and the voice will waver and crack. It'll feel strange. You'll hear a sound emanating from your body, and this version of you, the third density version of you, will be like, whoa, that's weird. Oh, man, this can't be real. What are you doing? And these are the training wheels through which we begin to send and experience and feel this energy. It starts out strange, like animals that are just born, and they start trying to stand up and their legs are wobbly and wavy, and they don't really know what they're doing. And that's beautiful. So we simply focus on our intended target. We allow the body to vibrate, to create a tone. And it's very much like that targeting system comes in and you're kind of aiming down the line. You're aiming at whatever that is, that person, that feeling, that emotion. And as you create that vibration in your body, you imagine it like a tube of colored light or a burst of frequency or energy or emotion or color or scent or flavor. As many sensory elements that you can add to your internal representation of this vibration you're creating in your body is going to only strengthen your ability to use this frequency. As much as you can add to it, allow it to be as real to you as you can possibly muster. And the thing is, for a lot of us as adults, there are this set of filters that kick in. As soon as we start doing that, this little, and for some of us it's very small, for others it's huge. But as soon as we start going into this internal realm, we get this like, I don't know, maybe, yeah, sure, I don't know. It's kind of weird, but what we're doing is we are allowing every piece of our conscious energy to be involved in the creation of this vibration. For many of us, that is the most important step. Even if you don't know how and you're questioning yourself and you're like, I don't know, this is kind of weird, but you know what, I'm willing to try, and I feel an emotion as we're talking about it, and what if it's real? And so we're going to do this together right here. What we're going to do is we're going to take 3 deep breaths in, and then on the third breath, we're going to you're just going to allow a vibration to come out of the body. Might be high, might be low. You might find yourself matching mine. It's totally cool. We just allow whatever happens. So here we go, guys. This is our test run. Notice how you feel. Let's take a deep breath in. Hold it. And release. Just real quick and easy. Just like that. We're going to do one more breath as a group. This is breath number 2. It's just a big, full, deep breath. Expand the body. A little bit slower. Hold it at the top and release it all the way out. Notice how you already feel a shift in your body. On this third one, as we exhale, allow a vibration to emit. I'll be doing it with you. Here we go. Deep breath in. It's just a simple vibration that comes out of your body. Oftentimes at the close of that transmission, you'll find yourself guided to create a release of energy. What I call those is basically a third density gesture of separation. When we talk about things like cord cutting, when we talk about actually releasing energy, what we find is there are simple physical gestures or your own individualized process of disconnection that are going to greatly aid in the removal and the healing and the transmission of what we're doing. I like to use one that's very much like a pop, because we're able to very effectively create movements like that. But other people are going to create a snip, or they're going to cut, or they're going to do your own individualized version. We're at the stage of our life cycle in which those gestures and those physical movements and those mannerisms and the behavioral things that we repeat with intention are much more than you just doing a thing. It's all about the energy that we subscribe to it. So after creating that tone, oftentimes we'll remove that energy, release it, whatever it is. And so, good job, you guys. I know for some of us, that's a strange thing. We're like, whoa, okay, wow. For others, it's like, yep, we know exactly what we're doing. And some of you guys, you know it so well, you don't even need to look at this list. You're like, Matthew, I know how to create an emotion and a feeling and a vibration inside my body. And so no matter where you are on this, congratulations. It's like you're starting a whole new version of you. And so with that, I know we've been here all day, guys. We're going to do some energy clearing. This is kind of also one of the things that makes this process unique, is that we go through multiple layers of the energy body on a number of ways, channels, organs, and then we solidify it all with a meditation. And so before we begin the meditation, what we're going to notice every week is a little bit of a path that we take, a little bit of a process. For those of you guys that have been in other classes, we have a tendency, or rather my primary method of entering the human body, or the energy field surrounding the human body, is through the crown chakra. And so what you guys are going to experience here today, if it's the first time with us, is in the beginning of our meditation, I'm going to recite a mantra. It's called the Mula mantra, and it's in Sanskrit. And what it is basically a form of spiritual technology that I've used and developed. It's not a mantra that I created. It's actually widely used, but it's a frequency that I've begun to develop and use in my own individual work that creates a literal opening in your crown chakra. It's one of the ways in which we can create this gateway into the human body that then allows us to begin opening up energy on a whole new level. It's kind of like when you find you actually take the lid off of a container, you're able to move the contents around much easier. Once we finally crack the lid, let everything out, then it's like, oh, okay, now we can go in there and start moving things around. And so we start out with a thing called the Mula mantra. If you guys want, I will write it down and post it for you guys in the Facebook group. If you want to do it with me, you can. But after I recite the Mula mantra, we will then use one of the first of our capsule phrases. This is also a very ancient phrase. It's used in many different cultural schools to assist in opening up and depressurizing the crown chakra. And you'll see it there on the screen. It's pronounced Ogam Satyam Om. And so that's something that we're going to be chanting 3 times in the beginning after I do this mantra and we begin to open up the energy body. That's one of the things that really allows us to begin to open ourselves up. And so even if you can't do toning, that's okay. For some of you guys, it's the first time you're here. Maybe you're even at work, or you're just in another place and you can't make sounds with people online. That's okay. Oftentimes in the first class, it is a kind of a soft recommendation that if this is the first time you're doing this, please allow this to be a moment where you're just here to receive. Your mission is to receive new energy. You might feel a call in your body to tone or vibrate. Perfect. If you want to, go for it. But for a lot of us, the first session is about allowing ourselves to receive. So we're going to be chanting Ogam Satyam Om in the beginning. And from there, we're going to begin moving downward. It's like liquid and energy. We're going to be moving down through the body. We are going to divert on this path really quickly in the beginning. I'm going to help you guys open up your mental energy. And so I do want to let you know that before we get to step 2, I'm going to create a tone around the sides of everyone's head here. For those of you guys that have done individual sessions with me, it's just a thing that is really helpful to open up the layers of the energy body. So we are going to be using one tone that's not listed, and it's right before step 2. But after that, we're going to be bringing our energy downward in the body using the root word for the root chakra. That's lung. Notice the NG at the end. I kind of stressed it there, but we're using that word to begin very much open like a basin. It's like a container within the body. You guys are going to find when you utilize the like the M consonant sound, it creates kind of like a circular opening at the top. When we use the it creates that sort of basin. It's like a container of energy that we can then put it into. And so when we open up the root chakra, in my opinion and experience, it's very helpful to use the lung, that energy down there. And so we're going to be pulling energy downward using lung 3 times. From there, we're going to move all the way down to the bottom, all the way down to the bottoms of our feet, past the perineum, past your tailbone, and we're going to connect with the new earth grid right down there in your kidney meridian at the bottoms of your feet. From there, we're going to start pulling our energy upward. As we inhale, we're going to pull energy upward into the body, and we're going to be using our Earth Star Chakra capsule phrase, which we did earlier. Some of you guys heard it, and that's Maruva. Maruva. We're going to be doing that 3 times at the end, and just really strengthening and setting up infrastructure, stability, and really, like it says there, allowing a restructuring of our internal abundance template, what we are allowed to receive, what we are capable of receiving, what we're capable of creating. And for a lot of us, this is the beginning. For those of you guys that feel like you're on the path toward developing your intuitive abilities, for a lot of us, this is where it starts. We open up this layer of energy underneath us, and we give ourselves permission to start feeling in a new way. And so I've said enough. Let us begin. If you guys can make yourself as comfortable as you can, get as comfortable as you possibly can. And so we're going to, real quickly, we're going to change the sound setting here. I'm going to turn, oh, it is already off. Excellent. So our sound filters are off already. Sometimes with Zoom, there's a sound filter that'll come on that'll cancel out tones. And so hopefully that's working. We have original sound on. And so what we're going to do is like everyone to get settled in. There's no mudras or mantras for this type of healing. Your only mission here today is to receive. So for some of you guys, you're going to want to lay down. Some of you guys are going to want to sit up. As long as you can hear my voice, that is all we need. But I also want to tell you, at some stages during this course, you could even keep your eyes open. It's really about allowing yourself to be in the moment in whatever way you need to. We allow each and every emotion. And as you make yourself comfortable, just settle in as we begin with that gentle, deep, slow breathing all the way down in your belly like there's a balloon down there, and you're just real gently and fully expand your body as low as you can go. As you start with that gentle, deep breathing, really extend the out breath all the way out as far as you can go. Squeeze that balloon inside of you and consciously reach out to your childhood self. That version of you still existing within the world of magic and make-believe, like a cartoon movie inside your body. We consciously welcome that version of you and that version of me, and in your own internal way inside your body, I'd like you to acknowledge those other multi-dimensional travelers that are gathered together with us here today in their own worlds, in their own homes, wherever you are in this world. Acknowledge those members of this group, those beings that chose to come together in 2021 to become more, to truly heal, to truly activate our missions in this body. We begin with a synchronizing breath. As I count from 3 to 1, we'll breathe in together like one being, one unit, one cell, one organism, one body. Let's take a deep breath in 3, 2, 1. Hold it. And release. Let your breath out like that, kind of like a snake or a steam valve. It's like a shh as you let that breath release from the body. Let's synchronize our energy fields, synchronize our respiration, synchronize our heartbeats. Let's breathe in as one. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Hold it. And release. On this next breath, as we release, we simply pause, we allow, and we initiate that connection with the multi-dimensional self and the soul group gathered together here today. Breathe in that new energy. 3, 2, 1. Hold it. and release. Simply honor your internal state. Honor the thought forms. Honor the memories. Honor the emotions. Honor the expectations and the questions inside you. And simply notice where you are here today, at this moment in time, this version of yourself. Acknowledge you are beginning a new journey, a new chapter, truly releasing that which no longer serves. With this breath, we bring our energy to the crown, at the top of the head. As we begin to notice a subtle vibration, or a pulsation, or a heartbeat at the top of the head, and with the childhood imagination activated and present, it's very much like there's a small opening up there, right at the top of your head, like a dolphin or a whale or a chimney. For some of you, you can imagine yourself standing in front of a mirror in your mind's eye. Maybe it was today or another period in your life, and you simply look in that mirror in your internal realm and look at your face. Look at your eyes. Look at the top of your head in that internal realm and simply notice what you notice as you listen to the sound of your breath. And on that next breath, we look into that mirror within us once again and notice what you notice at the top of your head as you breathe. Maybe your hair moves. If there's hair, maybe you feel that breath moving from the top of your head. Maybe you hear your breath. As we honor those guides, guardians, ancestors, family members, galactic family, all those with us here today, focus our energy at the crown as we begin the depressurization process. In 3, 2, 1. Om Shrim Saveshwaraya Namaha. Om Shrim Param Jyotishe Namaha. Om Shrim Param Brahmaya Namaha. Om Shrim Param Karunyaya Namaha. Om Shrim Param Pavitraya Namaha. Ogam Satyam Ogam Satyam Ogam Satyam In this moment, we honor each and every one of you gathered gathered together with us here on behalf of those multidimensional travelers here in 2021, beginning this new stage of our journey in this body, in this earth realm. We ask that you place your attention and focus at the sides of the head and simply receive this energy, allowing any divergent thought forms around abundance or capability, our ability to receive. We release those thought forms in 3, 2, 1. Deep breath in. Very good, everyone. Gentle pop, gentle release, gentle pop right in the back of the head. 3, 2, 1. Good job. Gentle, slow breath in. Allowing your internal energy to settle and focus as we feel that liquid, that wind, that fire, that current, that emotion within us begin to circulate downward toward the root chakra, and we will consciously direct that energy here today with the root word Lang. Let's take a deep breath in and bring that energy downward. Here we go. Focus beneath your rib cage in the center of your body at the solar plexus. Deep breath in. Allow that energy to flow down into the bottom, to the perineum, to your hips, like liquid filtering or drips or wind passing through the body. We feel it settle into a red current, a red orb, a red energy underneath us. Gentle breath in. We honor all those of you gathered together here today on behalf of these multidimensional travelers as we consciously allow the release of lack programming, negative capability, suppression of the inner child. We consciously make room for those new frequencies, those new experiences, this new path of healing. In 3, 2, 1. Focus underneath you. Allow that energy to float downward like liquid, like light, like wind down the insides of your legs. You'll feel it on the inner thigh, passing the backs of your knees, moving down your calves and connecting at the bottoms of your feet in a small whirlpool or a glowing point of light underneath you. Acknowledge that when you place your attention or your focus on that point of light underneath you, you feel a small tickle, a flame, a warmth, a wind within your kidneys. Gentle breath in and exhale, bringing that downward to the bottoms of your feet. Follow me in connecting the Earth Star Chakra. Bring your awareness to the earth and the energy underneath you as we feel our feet planted in the cool, clean soil of the new earth, as we feel our body plugged into the frequency of that true Gaian organic energy, your true energy, your true frequency, the next version of you present in this earthly realm. We honor and allow each and every one of you gathered together with us for this experience on earth in 2021. We honor the healing. We honor the empowerment. We honor our ability to truly receive the gifts of spirit and that which we rightfully created for ourselves in this life, in this realm, in this body. As we feel our energy beginning to drift back upward through the body, past our waist and our groin and our belly and that solar plexus, which is now flickering and stirring within us all the way up to the heart and the back of the neck, and the very last place where we pause here today. And I'd like everyone here to look over your right shoulder today. Look over that right shoulder. Behind your right shoulder at this moment stand your guides, guardians, ancestors, family members, galactic family, all those guiding the members of this soul group in their training and their development and their healing and their activation in this physical body. We honor each and every one of you for gathering together here today. We ask if there's anything else we need at this stage of the journey, please begin transmitting the contents of those messages, those understandings, those experiences over the next 7 weeks as we continue this journey in the love and light of the one infinite creator. So it is, so it is, so it is. Good job, everybody. Good job, guys. Take your time. Come on back. For some of us, we just pop right back in the body immediately. For others, we can allow ourselves to simply feel and just experience the energy or the emotions or whatever arises in your body, no matter where you are in this journey, even if you still can't figure out quite why we're here and what it is we're meant to do. That's perfect. You are absolutely where you are meant to be. And so I want to say really, truly, thank you, thank you, thank you. Good job, you guys. You're beginning to restructure the energy body in an entirely new way. And with hopefully some of the detoxing we're going to be doing, some of the Qigong we're going to be doing over the next 7 weeks, and anything else that shows up in your life, we are literally creating a new version of you this year. It's going to blow you away. And so Yeah, now that we have begun the activating and realignment process, please give yourself, you could give yourself an incredible advantage by continuing this process. If you can, please try to begin detoxing. And let's just say maybe you don't have any money and you can't get some detox stuff and you're like, man, I really want to do this, but man, you guys, I just can't right now. That's okay. Do the best that you can. Purify your body the best that you can. For some of us, we're not actually going to be doing everything here, and that's totally okay. Each and every person is going to receive their own little bit of something here, and I want you guys to participate as much or as little as you feel called. For those of you guys that really want to take this thing to the next level, this is the time to really begin a spiritual practice of something like Qigong or yoga, any form of conscious movement, especially when we start processes of gathering together with people in the physical realm to start entraining your energy. It's going to have a way huger effect than if you were just doing this by yourself. And I say this also for those of you guys that are watching on the replay and you're like, man, I wish I was there for the live one. Don't worry if you're not. We are in a stage and an era of timelessness. It is one of the facts of life as we move into fourth density. All time is now, and you can tap into this moment at any time. The way that you will make that stronger for yourself is by practicing things like Qigong, Tai Chi, yoga, martial arts, any form of conscious physical movement, along with the internal meditation, the vibration, and the detoxification process will literally transform you.